So I just wanted to show you, I started to get ready to put the wheels on. I got all of the both sides of the Rocky Mountain brakes and the emergency brake lines in. And so on these shafts, before you put the actual wheel on, so the wheel's got this keyway here, and this key goes in it. So you buy these keys, and that key fits fine in here. Okay, it's a pretty good fit. And then you come over to the shaft, and the shaft's got the key, and this key's got a little lip there. That little angled piece goes right in here. So this goes a full length of this. And so you try to put this in here, and it won't go. So I measured this with gauge pins, with gauge blocks, and it's 247 thousandths wide. A 247 gauge block will push down in with resistance into that slot. This key, when you mic it, it's 251 thousandths. So that's 4 thousandths press fit. Now you're not going to drive that in there with a hammer. You're going to stave this all up. So I mean, this is what I mean. You got to fit everything on these Model Ts. Nothing is 100%. So I mean, this key fits great in the hubs. Those are new hubs. A new key fits fine. These are new shafts. These are new axle shafts. But there's 4 thousandths difference between this slot width and the slot width in the hub. So instead of driving this in here with a hammer and staving things all up and having a big burr hang up there and everything else, I got a surface grinder, so I'm gonna grind this. So I'm gonna make a step key here. So it's going to kind of, if you looked at the end, it's going to kind of look like a T, except you're not really going to see much 2 thou on a side. So 247, 251, it's 4 thou, so it's 2 thou on each side. Now, if you didn't have a surface grinder, I mean, you could take and put this on a belt sander and hold it and get it to fit good enough, I'm sure. But I figured I'm just going to grind it so it'll fit good, and it'll be a good fit on there, you know. So I figured I'd just let you guys know that. I'm going to set up over here on the surface grinder, and we're going to grind this. I don't know if you'll be interested in watching it or not. If not, you can shut it off or whatever. But so here we go. I gotta dress the wheel first. So I'm just bring the wheel down to half a thou. Just dressing the bottom, the base of that wheel, so it's cutting through. And then I'm gonna bring it up, moving down the way here. You can see I took one of the keys and I glued it up, and I drew a line halfway up it. And so I'm gonna make sure I get this side where the bevel is. I'm gonna grind this side. So I'm gonna put this in a vise and set that wheel so that it's just cutting half of that key. And I'm gonna touch off on the top, and then I'm gonna come down 2 thousandths or close to it, and then flip the key over and do the same thing on the other side. So put a grinding vise in here. Vice close to the square here to this table. close to the piece. Along to that line with the corner of the wheel. By hand because I'm not taking much off. Okay, just started touching. Okay. I'll set this on 0. It's all on 0 over here. If you want to see that on the controller here. There's this is the 0 right here. I think of it as a Z-axis, but it's not. It's called a Y-axis on this. That's just the way it is. The Z is that way, and that's Y. But, okay, that's what we'll call it. Now, what I'm going to do is, every time I hit this button, this will come down. So that's 1/10,000. So that's not 1,000. That's 1/10 of a thousandth. One of them is a thousandth. So I got to hit that 10 times to go 1,000. So that number will wind up being 2 when I'm done, or about there. I'm going to stop it like 1 4/10 and just mic it and see what I got, or 1 1/2, and see if I can get the whole thing into view here. Probably not, because I got to stand there and run it, so you're just not going to be able to see everything. and 7/10. About 49. That's about 249. That's good. I'll leave that right there. And I'm going to take that out. And I'm going to flip it over. Sure that this parallel is in the back here, because that's the side it's going to catch. Because the other side we just took 2,000 off. Down on the parallel. Vice up. Bring the wheel back up to 0. Let's see, that just touches here. touch it. So I'll bring that back down. It's just about exactly 247. So we're going to take that one out. Get it out and just double check it here on the hands. Yep, 247. Now, go over here and see how it fits. Okay, now for the moment of truth. See how it fits in there. So you can see what I did here. I'll hold this up here so you can kind of see it. See the real shiny area? That's where I just ground. Won't that focus? See that right there? So there's the step I did. And there's a step on the other side. And that's about 2 thousandths, 8/10, 2 thousandths of an inch step. And so I left this original because that's what's going to fit into the hub. So this, we'll see how this fits in here, if it will. It should, a lot better than having 4 thousandths on it. And yes, fits in there good, just like that. And then see the hub, back out a little ways here. The hub fits on here like this. And that's on that key. Look at that. Perfect. So that's what you want. You don't want it flopping around, and you want it to fit good. So that's what I'm doing anyway. I just wanted you to see that, so you'll know. That's the one thing about these Model T parts. You have to fit everything, and you know, you either got to do it by hand with a file or something, or if you're lucky enough to have a machine shop, you can do it with the surface grinder. But it's handy having this stuff. I'm just glad I have it. But well, that's the kind of stuff you got to do, though. So I enjoy doing it, and I got the equipment, and I got the time now. So that's what we're doing, and I will come back when I'm ready to mount the tires on this baby. All right, we will talk with you guys later. Bye. Well, I just thought I'd show you. I got a rolling chassis sitting here now. Got the front wheels on, the rear wheels are on. Sitting down on all 4 wheels. It'll roll. And we're looking pretty good here. So some of the next stuff I got to do, I got to get this steering wheel set, because this is another area of concern, is the pitch of the steering wheel and how they sit on the Speedster seats. So I'm going to mount it in an original way, and they recommend this. It's about 8-9 degree wedge you put underneath this, but I don't know. I'm gonna line stuff up here and see how it sits before I go making any crazy adjustments. I'm gonna put the original firewall, set this at the right angle that it came with, and go from there. If I have to, I'll do what I need to. You know, I got the wood firewall. I'm probably gonna use both, because the radiator I got is a tall radiator, and I don't want to buy one of them brass radiators. They're just shy of $2,000 for one. I've got one of the tall black ones there, and I'm just going to use that. So that's why you need to use this firewall here with the tall radiator, because this area here matches the radiator with the hood. So the hood, we'll see. Again, I've never done this, but I know I got some big questions here, and I'll only be able to tell after I start mounting stuff and see how it all fits and see how it sits and everything else. So that'll be the next steps, and we will be talking with you later. All right. I just wanted to show you guys how taking this steering column apart it's quite a job, but it's doable. It's just that it's riveted together, and these are the rivets, and these rivets go in here through this thing called a quadrant. And to get these levers out, you got to take this whole head off here, and to do that, that's all pinned down through the column. So you got to remove all of the stuff off the end of the shaft there and pull the shaft out, get all that stuff off, get all of the cranks off. Now the only way I could get this off this one, I've got some new spark and throttle levers coming, so I'll be putting them on. But like this here, this crank that was on this spark rod here, I couldn't drive the pin out. It had been so egged in there that I couldn't get it out. I wound up having to grind that off, and so I ground that and just knocked it off so I could get that through here. And that's what I'm doing here now. I'm taking the head of this off, and like I said, I ground the heads of these off. I got some new quadrant rivets coming, and but I got to get this apart and clean it good, and you know, get it painted and stuff, put in new throttle levers and stuff. So I just wanted you to see this, and because this is another, it's until you do one, you know, I've done a couple of them, and it's quite a job. So now the rivets are out, I can drive this head out here, and I don't know if I can get to the back of that yet. I'll drive some more of this off. There we go. We got it. There we go. Okay. So, mark that, just so I know. This goes at the bottom here. Mark it with a number stamp after. So this just pulls out. Now I can get this all out of here. Then I can replace these rods. So the way you got to replace these, so this is another crazy thing here. These are swedged around this, so you got to like pry this out to get this out, because this won't go by this. So and then you got to push that back. This is brass. You got to push that back and then put it back into here and put the quadrant on and put it back together. But I just wanted you to see this, and just so you know how this thing's built. This is a little bit crazy, I think, how they did this, but that's what they did, and so that's what we're stuck with. And you can't get any more of these things. So the only ones you've got are the ones that were made, and somebody's got one out of a car. You can't buy a new one of these, so you know, you're stuck with what you got here on this. You can buy the new gears that go in here, but you can't get that gear. That's part of this. But the three, you know, planetary gears that go in here, and the center one, you can buy that. And but that's what it is. And we will be back with this and the quadrant. I'll set this over here. There's the quadrant. Clean that up. May recut them things in it, I don't know, but it definitely needs to be cleaned up. Now we got a stripped steering column here, so we'll be able to clean that out good and paint it the way it should be and everything. So, but I just figured you'd get a kick out of seeing that, so there you go. There's a Model T steering column. Well, I just thought I'd give you an update on the Speedster project here. I've got the base, what you want to call the base, body base, or on the frame here, and I've tried a few things. I was wondering how the steering column would wind up if I put it in its original angle, because they send you a piece with the kit. It's this piece right here. This wooden, you can see the angle on the side of it. So this is a wedge that you put in back of the steering column to make it bend down. And this angle's about 8 degrees. So it's bending the steering column down 8 degrees. It lowers it down. And so what you also have to do is put a wedge under the block that hooks to the frame that the actual steering shaft goes into. And so what I did was I tried putting the original firewall on the frame first, just to see how everything lined up. And I put the steering rod into the block there, the steering block that mounts onto the frame of the car at its original angle. So then I sat in the seat base. So I don't have the seats put together yet. That's a whole other project. But the base is there, and I set the base on and just sat on it to see where it would be. Well, the only way to be able to use the steering wheel at the original position, at the original angle that it came at, would be to put 8 to 9 inch risers underneath the seat. Otherwise, you wind up, the steering wheel winds up being like over your head, and you can't drive around, you know, like this. This is crazy. And so lowering that down is definitely the way to go, I think. I don't want to build the seat up 8 inches. I think it just feels like it'll be a lot better. I think that's why they got this, and it makes you realize this. And so I've got the block in there right now with an 8-degree wedge that I built for it. So it's sitting at the angle that it's going to sit at when I use. I think I'm going to make another one, make this out of aluminum and put an aluminum piece on the firewall. I don't like using the wood and having it thin out like this. I think I'm going to make a aluminum piece that goes on that. So but I'm going to show you this here now. It's not going to look like much, but This is going to take me a while to do because I'm having to think through every piece of this. This is not anything I've done before, so you're going to have to bear with me. You're going to get a little bit here and there, but there's going to be many hours of thought and research. And I'm looking into firewall brackets now, 1910 firewall brackets that come up quite a bit further than I got. You'll see the two red ones I got mounted on here. This came with the 24 steel firewall. So the long firewall brackets is what Rootly tells you should use. So if I use that, I'm going to have to poke some new holes in the frame because this 24 frame doesn't have the holes for the old style firewall brackets in it. But I may wind up making spacers and extenders for these firewall brackets, and I can do that too. It just extends it back about 1.25 inches, it looks like to me, and they want the bracket to go up because it's a wood firewall. So I'm just going to show you this now at what I got, just so you can see, that I've been working quite a bit in the background here. It's just there's no sense in me filming me watching, trying to think of stuff. So it'd be friggin' boring. So, when I get to a point, I'll keep filming pieces of it here and there, and I'll try to explain everything I've done. Right now, I've just got so I get the steering column all apart, and I've got the shaft out of it. So I get the shaft down into the block like it's going to sit there, and I even put the steering wheel on the end of the shaft, on the end of so it's right where the steering wheel is going to be. It's just that it doesn't have the steering column. So, but that's about where it's going to be. I got it sticking through the block about where it goes, and I check the pitman arm fits on it fine, and it's all good. So, this is about how it'll look, and I'm going to go over and I'll sit in the. I've just got the seat bases sitting on the riser that Rootlieb sends. So I'll just show you this so you'll have an idea of it. So here we go. So here's the wooden body on here, and you can see the steering wheel there. So I'll go over here and sit on this so you can kind of see this. So this is how it's going to go. Obviously there'd be a floorboard here, but this here, at least, this is in the right spot to be able to drive the car. Where when this was up a couple of inches, and so this steering wheel wound up, you're like this. So this is definitely where I want it. So I'm going to definitely use the 8-degree there in the firewall. I'm going to use a wood firewall because you can't use the original firewall. This comes way down in the bottom of the hole. So I just thought I'd show you that there. And if I take this off here, I can kind of show you the hole in the firewall. It doesn't even come close. So this is the original firewall that came with it. And if I try to put this on here at that 8-degree changed angle, you see how that's already hitting it. I'm not anywhere near getting it up to here. So this is what I was talking about. You can't use this because this hole is in the original location. So this went on here like this, and it's about 1 inch off the frame, and there's bolts that went through these firewall brackets, and then this rod the steering column goes in here, but it's at a 8-degree more of an angle, so it comes up. So I can't use this not that I care, but I can't use this original firewall. I'm going to have to poke a hole in the wooden one. Because the wooden one doesn't have any hole in it. This is the, I'll show you the wood firewall. It's just a blank piece of wood that's cut out for the transmission. So this is going to wind up going about here like this. And so I'll need spacers and probably something, because the old style firewall brackets came up to about here and there were 3 holes down them. So I'll either make a spacer for this and like a piece of angle iron or something that'll come up to here and come down and go against the spacers. I'm not sure what I'll do. If I can find, so they advertise them in Lang's, but they're $155 and I wouldn't mind buying them. I gotta call them. I'm gonna call them later on today and find out if they actually have them. If they do, I'll probably buy them and I'll mount them in here. So I've got to poke that hole for the steering column in this, and this will be the wood firewall. So there's quite a bit to do here. The other thing that I'm looking into is the radiator. So the radiator. So the radiator on this 1924 radiator is one. I've got one out in the garage, but I can't use the hood that they sent with this root lead kit. Now, is that a game changer? No, but where I can't. So if I was going to be able to use the firewall, the steel firewall, and use that radiator, I could use the hood that actually came with this car, because in that year it mates between the firewall and the radiator, the 1924 radiator, and but the hood that came with this is actually meant for a brass era radiator. So in fact, I got to call Rootleaf, just double check, but from what I can see, you got to get like anywhere from a 1907 to a 1915 radiator. It's a brass radiator, and they make them at Brass Works. They're like $1,500, but it's the right radiator. Then I've got a hood former that goes on that firewall, which is this right here. This is the hood former. So that's what it looks like, the end view of it. And that goes on to the firewall, and that's what the hood goes against on the firewall end, and it goes against the radiator on the radiator end to cover the engine. So I'm gonna probably wind up getting a Brass Works radiator for this. We'll see. We'll see. The only other thing I could do is to actually use the steel firewall, just cut that out and cut the cover part off that covers the end of the engine there, and just so I could, what I'd wind up doing is using the original steel firewall and this wooden firewall, put the wooden firewall in back of the steel firewall and bolt them together, and then use the hood and the radiator that I've got in my garage. So these are some of the decisions that I've been throwing around in my head, and I've been looking up stuff online. And again, it's all new to me, but it's a lot of fun, and I really enjoy it. I mean, this is a lot of fun, and I'll say one thing: this will be my car when I get done. I mean, there's a lot to think about here, but I like it. So we'll keep going, and I'll give you updates. I think what I got to do here, though, is to put the engine in the chassis here, just so I can make sure everything clears everything, especially if I wind up getting that radiator and putting this wooden firewall on and stuff. I got to make sure stuff clears everything here. So I will get back to you when I know more, and when there's a little more update on things. So hang tight. It's been a quite a ride, and there's still quite a bit to do. I'm sure I've got just the seats. This is a whole other thing, because I'm thinking so I either got to buy bucket seats from Speedway Motors or one of the places that sells them T-bucket kits. You can get bucket seats that are already built. So that's one thing. Yeah, $500-600 a piece. So I'd have $1,200 in that, and then they wouldn't probably look right on this era car. If I'm going with a brass radiator, I want to keep it like somewhere near the year, the seats. So, the Rootley bucket seats, there's steel tin frames that go around that seat base that you just saw me sit on, and they got to get screwed to that, and then you got to put your own upholstery on them. So I've been reading up on upholstering and making, different upholstery patterns and stuff. So I'm going to probably wind up getting an industrial sewing machine and making my own upholstery for the seats. And I've never done this. This is all new to me, but I'm not afraid to do it. I never have been afraid to tackle things, so it's just another thing to tackle. And I'm sure I'm going to probably have to make 16 seat, upholsteries before I get one that I'll want to use. So it's all going to be new practice stuff for me, but when I get done, it'll be my design, and I'll have the seats looking the way I want them. I'm thinking like diamond pleats, and a nice big thick foam cushion bottom with pleats on that, with different colors, with black and red in them. And it's the only way to get it what I want it to look like is make it myself. So I think that's probably what I'm going to wind up doing. So again, when I get to there's a lot of different points I got to get to here. So first I got to get this firewall situation taken care of, and get that mounted where I want it. Get the steering column in it, and that's definitely one of the first things I got to do here. And then actually, when I get this all done, I'm going to have to take it all back apart and paint it. So, it's nowhere near over yet. So I will definitely be back with more information when I get the chance. And until then, this is Mac, Tea Time with Mac. And we'll keep going on this baby. And we're going to have one hell of a car when we get done. All right? Bye.